Hey Cinders, and welcome back to Chicken Cindy's. Today, we're going to talk about this Poseidon Flatbar X. If this is your first time here to Chicken Cindy's, welcome. I'm Josh. Today we're going to talk about this Poseidon bike. Hopefully you'll learn something that you didn't know about it, and if this is a bike you're potentially thinking about buying, maybe I can persuade you to either get it or not to get it. But please consider subscribing and maybe even click that like button if you do enjoy this video itself. I was looking for a new daddy-daughter bike. This bike is basically the upgrade to my Crew Defender 700C. Insert picture here. The Crew Defender was a terrific bike. I've used it for about a year and a half now, 2 years? No, I think it's just over a year. But it's a single speed, it's got V brakes. It's basically a big BMX bike is what it is, an oversized BMX bike with 700C tires. I really liked the idea of the Crew Defender being a single speed, very simple. It's a flip-flop hub, so you can do there what you want to do with it, which is really cool. The only thing I upgraded on that bike were the actual V brakes because I wanted better brake pads than what it come with stock because I was using it as a training bike with my daughters. So I'd ride it with one or the other. I have two daughters. One is 1 year old. The other is almost 4 years old. But I got to the point to where I realized, hey, I might need some gears because I'm getting to the point where I want to start riding with him up and down some bigger hills and stuff, and it was just getting a little sketchy on the single speed. So here we are with the Poseidon. Of course, they have the Redwood. They also have the Flatbar X. There's a couple different reasons why I went with the Flatbar X. For me specifically, some of the main reasons was the fact that I saved about $200, so that was pretty nice. It came with a carbon fork, which some people care about, some people don't, but that's entirely up to you. But the biggest one for me was the fact that this one had 700C tires and the other one was 650B. So if you're wanting more gravel styled tires, I highly recommend you do the 650B ones, and then you can get road tires most likely to fit that if you'd like to. That's what I do with my actual nuke-proof digger. I point because it's hung up on the wall right there. But I switch between 700C tires and 650B tires. But that is a drop bar bike, so that might answer a question why I went with a flat bar bike. When I ride with my daughters, I don't want to have hoods in the way where you're kind of leaned forward in like the attack pose almost. With a flat bar, I'm sit back more and they can put their hands on the actual bars as well. So flat bar for my daddy-daughter bike is really the only way to go. This came with the Advent X. This would technically be my fourth Advent X that I have owned now, between me buying them and upgrading bikes and just buying them and putting them on bikes. I love Microshift Advent X. I think for the price, I think for the range, the clutch derailleur, everything on that actual group set is terrific, and it is so hard to beat. Once you get it dialed in, it shifts perfectly, it feels terrific. It's got these nice little rubber pads on the actual shifter mechanism, so if your hands are getting a little sweaty or anything like that, you don't lose the grip, which is terrific, because sometimes your thumb can kind of slip off the actual paddles, so just nice little touches there. One of the things I have upgraded that might be considered a bigger upgrade, but at the same time is still pretty budget friendly for the parts that I chose. I did switch out the actual square taper bottom bracket. So this bottom bracket specifically does have sealed bearings. So it's a very nice bottom bracket, a little heavy. They work fine. I just personally do not really care for square taper bottom brackets. So I upgraded mine to JG Bike. I went with the JG Bike external bearing styled hollow spindle bottom bracket and the crank arms. It's like a $40 upgrade. For the weight savings, I think it's worth it there just by itself. Not a huge weight savings, but I just don't really personally like the actual square taper bottom bracket. I'm pretty sure the Pro Wheel square taper also comes on the Redwood. So if you get that one, that Poseidon, you might as well upgrade that one as well, in my opinion. It's just, again, preference. I think this is better. But again, there's nothing wrong with a square taper and it should work no problem. So I also changed the front ring to an actual oval ring. I personally feel like it does help with climbs. Was it the half dozen one way, half dozen the other, whatever they say. Some people like oval rings, some people don't. I mean, if you don't like oval rings, definitely don't buy an oval ring then for it. But I just prefer oval rings. As mentioned, I went with the flat bar. The bike sizing, I went with a large since I was going to be riding with my daughters, of course one at a time, but I'm a medium large sizing, so I'm 5 foot 10 inches with a 32-inch inseam. Typically I can fit mediums, typically I can fit larges. It doesn't make a difference. Maybe a shorter stem or a longer stem. I can change crank arm length and that kind of stuff to help. But since I knew what I was going to be using this for, I went with a size large. Now, saying that, I think the bike fits me terrific. I really, really like the fit and feel of the large for me being 5 foot 10 inches. The original stem and original handlebars were a little too much for me. It really like stretched me out super far and made me very uncomfortable. Whenever I unboxed this originally, which unboxing experience was absolutely terrific. Really no complaints over the unboxing. It came out of the box shifting terrific. It came out of the box pretty well in great condition as well. There was one little scuff up here on the head tube itself, but it happens. It's being shipped. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But so I switched these out after my first ride. My first ride was about 24 miles, give or take. I averaged about 16 miles per hour. So not a super fast ride, but it was decent. And I just noticed right away that I really needed to change those specific things. So got a very nice budget-friendly JG Bike stem, and I got some nice JG Bike handlebars as well. Brought the stem into about 35 millimeters, I believe is the size of that one. I brought my handlebars into 760, I believe is what the sizing I did on that was. And after a couple rides on that now, I really, really like the way it feels. Those are honestly the main upgrades that I did. So I've changed the stem, I've changed the handlebars, I've changed the crank set, and then of course the bottom bracket. Pedals, I got some Crank Brothers stamps on here. I'm honestly not a super big fan of them, but I have them, so I want to use them. I feel like the spindle is just a little too big, and instead of your platform being flat, it kind of curves your foot when you put your foot on the pins. So I prefer Chesters or Fukers or that kind of style of pedal. But I mean, I have them. I'm going to use them until they break or stop working. And I've had them for about 2 years, so I mean, there is something to say about that. They definitely are built very well. But one of the other main reasons I actually went with the Poseidon as opposed to the Redwood was actually the color scheme. That's kind of a silly reason, but I didn't really care for the colors of the Redwoods. The through axle is super nice on the Redwoods. It still came with the Advent X drivetrain. It still had the actual square taper bottom bracket as well, the Pro Wheel on the Redwood as well. So if you get a Redwood, I again would recommend upgrading the bottom bracket, but that's not something you have to do right away. You can wait to do that. I just did it because I wanted to do it. But the color scheme, I love the all black. It looks so stinking good. But that being said, I just got this not too long ago. I got an email from Poseidon saying that they've now released the Redwood in some special edition colors, and when they're gone, they're gone. So go check them out. Maybe you can get a cooler bike than I got for that. But the Redwoods are also 650B, not 700C, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video. So that is something to keep in mind. And I knew I was going to be primarily road riding, so I wanted the 700C tires. They're just a little bit faster on the road itself, a little bit more nimble. So if you're going to be doing, again, as I mentioned, more gravel riding, I'd probably recommend the Redwood, especially because you get those through axles. But it's nice. It comes with a carbon fork as well to cut down on a little bit of the weight. One big issue that I don't like, which might only affect me because everybody's booty is different, but I do not care for this stock saddle at all. So I will definitely be upgrading that saddle. When it comes to contact points, there are really only 3 major contact points on a bicycle: pedals, saddle, and grips. If you're going to spend money on a bicycle, buy pedals you like, buy a saddle you like, and buy grips you like, period. That is the 3 best things that you can spend money on, and honestly go over the top in my opinion and not feel bad about it. If you're gonna spend $80 to $100 on a saddle because you like that saddle, that's gonna make your ride so much better. You're gonna spend 30 bucks on grips, terrific. If you're gonna spend $80 on pedals, awesome. They're contact points. You can switch all that stuff to new bikes. So, I mean, you're not really wasting money in my opinion there, especially if you find some contact points that you really enjoy. So, that being said, I will definitely be upgrading the Poseidon saddle, getting rid of that, probably to an SDG or something else, just because those are some saddles that I personally like. The grips I'm running are Marquee grips. Marquee was very, very kind to send me some very cool products for free. I have a set of the grips on my actual NS Eccentric. This set has just been kind of chilling, so I finally decided to throw them on this bike. I saw the opportunity for an all-black bike to go with some purple coloring. If you guys know anything about this channel, you know I love purple. So, got the JG purple bike stem, got some Marquee Cycles in purple, got the pedals in purple, so not too much purple, but just enough to be like, yeah, that's probably a Chicken Cindy's bike because it's got purple on it. But I absolutely love that. Something really cool on this bike that I didn't think I was gonna like, the brakes. I am really not a big fan of non-hydraulic brakes. Probably a little, I guess, posh on that part. But I have been really impressed with these, the cable actuated brakes. And something really cool, which I'll get a close-up of this, these Tektro brake levers have this really cool red part that you push down and you can slip the lever in to help you get the cable undone. So I've never seen that on a brake lever before, so I don't know how new or old that little thing is, but just kind of cool. And on my rides, I think the brakes have worked absolutely terrific. So no complaints like at all over the brakes. I'm pretty sure it's 160 front and back, but of course these brakes are gonna work way better than my V-brakes. The V-brakes work fine, but if they get wet or anything like that, it's kind of a lost cause, sadly. When it comes to the Poseidon and the sense of options for different racks you can use or the different like points where you can attach things, they really did a terrific job. I mean, you have, I believe it's 4. Yeah, you have water bottle brackets here, 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 and here. I run 2 fidlocks on mine, so 2 water bottles myself when I go on rides on this. But you got some on the fork, you got some on the rear triangle. I mean, they're really everywhere. And I'm pretty sure anything that you'd want to put on this bike, you most likely could, no problem. But I'm probably not going to be doing anything like that because I don't really bike tour or anything like that. My longest rides are 30, 40 miles, give or take, depending on how my daughters are doing with me. But that's just something to keep in mind if that is something you're wanting to do with this bike. But you could do that with this bike absolutely no problem. And again, you should have plenty of mounting options in that department. My overall, like, general review and opinion on this bike, which I've done maybe 80 to 100 miles on it, so I've had some pretty good saddle time in it. I really like it. I think for the price of $650, this is really a terrific bike for what it is. The Kenda small blocks, or what are they, small blocks? Yeah, small block 8s. I aired them up a little bit hard for the road rides because that's what I've been using this for. I think they roll terrific. I have really no issues there with them. The fit of this bike being a large and my size, it fit and feels terrific for me. I've been very impressed with this bike for the price, and I know for what I bought it for, it's going to work for me absolutely terrific. I love the way it looks. I was very impressed with the shipping. I thought when I unboxed it, everything was wrapped very, very nice. Everything was really well taken care of. So no complaints there at all. It's got an Advent X. The brakes work great. The couple things that I changed really were personal preference. I mean, with you being maybe a little bit taller than me, maybe you're 6 foot to 6'2", the handlebar and stem, the original ones, these might fit you perfect, so you won't have any issues there. But again, I mean, it was a pretty budget-friendly fix for me. I mean, a $10 stem, $15 handlebars. You could switch the other grips onto this, which the original grips were awesome. They were gum-colored. I thought they looked terrific, but I, of course, wanted some purple ones on there, and I had these Marquee ones, so figured why not. So I highly recommend this. I'm very, very impressed with this bike. I know MTB Alex, I believe, did an unboxing for the Redwood, so maybe go check out his channel if you're wanting to look at the Redwood. But I'm sure the Redwood has, you know, is just as good as this one in the sense, but with slightly better parts because, you know, it's a little bit more expensive. But if you're looking to save a little bit of money and maybe have 700C tires as opposed to 650Bs, this one will be it. So the last thing I want to do with this bike is actually weigh it, just to kind of see what it is after I've changed a couple things. So let's get it on the scale up there and see what it weighs. All right, we have zeroed out the scale. Let's get this bad boy on here and see what we weigh roughly. Stop moving it. All right, so we are at 24.74 pounds, so just under 25 pounds. In case you're curious, 395.7 ounces, which is a little ridiculous to do, but 11.22 kilograms. So let me get a little bit closer on it. 24.74 pounds. Not bad at all, really. Again, a budget-friendly bike, so. For the price, I think this is really hard to beat. I'm really impressed with it. I think the quality is terrific. It's 100% there. couple changes, easy changes that I'd recommend. And again, personal changes, and maybe you'll love this saddle. Again, the stem and handlebars might fit you perfect. But if you guys have any questions over this bike and my experience, maybe I missed something that you wanted to know, please put them down in the comments. But other than that, thank you so very much for tuning in. And until next time, everybody take care.